We have tremendous coaches, but more importantly, we have a phenomenal group of senior leaders. Our underclassmen get it. They work hard. They try to take cues from that upper class. But our 25 class, it's just, they are as talented as they are. They're much better human beings. They're tremendous leaders. They're mature. They have phenomenal character, which, again, they're raised the right way. And so I think that's just been evident since the first moment we saw them.
Going back to training camp, beginning of the season, you come off, you beat Milton, which you hadn't done in a while. Second week, you go to Natick and win at Natick. And then a couple weeks later, you won at Walpole for the first time in 18 years. What were some of the things you told these guys in the beginning of the season that sort of just kept on building up and, win after win after win?
I think, the kids were the ones talking in the preseason about, hey, we want to get to Gillette. And I think the beautiful thing is they were driven to do that. And so that made them kind of stay to that goal of that standard and play to that high level every single week. But our job as coaches was to make sure we're in the moment, right? So every single week is the most important thing that we can do. Every single practice, we have to make sure that we're locked and loaded and ready to go. Make sure that we're dialed in, make sure that we're not looking past anybody. So I think that was sort of the balance, is we had this super mature, confident, and wonderful group that had these really high goals. And then we as coaches needed to make sure, hey, can we root ourselves in the here and now? And I think our coaching staff and our leaders did a great job of that.
Was there a specific game or moment where you knew that this was going to be a special season?
I want to say last year, but I think with the graduation of JR and Dave Curtis and Sean Murphy and Tate and Spencer, Jace, we missed some talent, and so we figured we'd be okay there, but we didn't have all the slots filled yet. Once we got into Milton, just a couple plays in, it was pretty obvious that we had something special. And from that point on, there really weren't any games. People say, oh, are you nervous about so-and-so? Even the Super Bowl, I wasn't nervous about anything. This group makes you confident in their ability to follow through on what they say. And throughout the year, that's what they consistently did. They said they would do something, and then they did it on and off the field. So very easy to kind of know what you have there.
You were the defensive coordinator the last time this team or the school was at Gillette. But as the head coach, was it a little bit different this time being down on the field?
It was, I trust my coordinators, so I guess I had a little bit less of a role on game day. I'm more like, hey, the administrative aspect, can we get from here to here, it was different, enjoyable in its own way. I think I was probably more nervous having to call the defense. Coach Chico luckily did a great job for us the other night, held them to 14 points, but I think it was just, you're taking on different roles. And so luckily I've been able to learn from and continue to pick the brain of the great Dave Duffy. And that's helped me to iron out any of those little issues that might arise in the moment.
Talk about how special this atmosphere was. I mean, we heard about, the police escort, the police and fire escort out of town. We got to be in our own broadcast booth. The MIAA and Gillette really took care of us. We got to, at one point, me and Ben Gilman during halftime, we got to go down on the field to do an update, a score update and everything. And, we had an incredible atmosphere. I can't even imagine what it was like for you guys. What was that atmosphere like for you as the head coach?
Driving through with the police escort, seeing so many people from the town coming out, getting texts, phone calls, emails, messages from former coaches, former players, just folks who lived in the town who have been supporting the team all these years. That was really one of the most heartwarming aspects of this. And, I try to keep my emotions in check through all of it. And I don't think that the moment was too big or anything like that, but I think just the emotions of it were so strong. I was so appreciative of everything that the folks in Needham did to make us feel supported. And then, frankly, on Friday, when we were going through it a little, to have those same people reaching out and saying, hey, Coach, your guys did great. You have such great kids. They're so hardworking. I think that's what's really special about Needham, is they don't abandon you if you lose by 7. They know how hard these kids work. They know what great players these guys are and what great reps of the program, school, and town they are. And so they all continue to pour out that love and support. So I'm just really appreciative to be where we are and to live where I do.
Absolutely. The game was close. Mm-hmm. I mean, you guys battled right to the end. And just being in the moment for that, is there anything that you will take away from that game? Anything that that will specifically stick out in your mind? For us, when beginning of the second half, Griffin finds Aiden for that touchdown. The atmosphere just completely changed. And it was, Mike Riley told me, it was the loudest he's heard that stadium. He said all weekend it was the loudest he heard it.
Yeah, not only were the fans outstanding and all those folks, up in the stands who were doing a great job of supporting us and making a good amount of noise behind Zavarian, but the sideline. I've never heard a Needham sideline like this. And so I told the players that, we had Kevin Brennan, who's an old quarterback for us, doing jumping jacks on the sideline, getting everybody fired up. We had kids just bouncing, making so much noise. It was almost hard to communicate at times with our players. I loved that. And that was a quintessential Needham Rocket team that I knew we were, but maybe we didn't get to fully display in that first half. Everyone dialed in. They all walked in. They were all resilient. Whether they were on the field or they were on the sideline, they knew they were going to give it their all in that second half. And I was so proud of that effort and so happy to get that support from the fans who were cheering us on as we walked out of the tunnel like, hey, unload both barrels in that second half. You could hear former players up there. Shout out Will McDonald, the original Will McDonald, for trying to pump us up as we came out of the tunnel. It was a special, special atmosphere.
Absolutely. I mean, Zavarian, one of the things I heard is not just Zavarian, but there were 8 games, 16 teams. You guys are the only ones out of the other 15 that hadn't won a state title. So all these other teams have been in this atmosphere. Obviously, the lights were pretty bright at the beginning. They scored that first touchdown. But what did you tell the guys to get them? You went down early. You were down 14-0 at halftime. What do you say to them to get them back?
Well, it's definitely, we're not saying anything they did was a fluke. This is a great team we played, and they make their plays. But we've always said all year as a defense, if somebody makes a big play against you, you flush it, you move on. We lay the ball down and we go play. It really doesn't matter to our guys. And so I think you saw that with the way that we responded when they started to drive later. Nick Sewell gets his pick. You saw that with the ferocity with which we played our offensive line blocked in the second half, our special teams. Everyone knew what we had to accomplish in that second half. And football is a hard sport. Winning is hard in any sport, but against a 300-pound lineman, against a kid going to BC, you got your work cut out for you. And I thought we did a great job of rallying and trying to accomplish that goal in the second half. Sometimes, unfortunately, you fall short.
Cool. Coach, looking back on this season, greatest season in Needham football history. What will you remember?
I'm going to remember the relationships with these kids. I'm going to remember, as I told them at the banquet, how much I love them. I'm going to remember that they're champions. And I wanted them to walk out of here knowing that. It's hard a couple days out from a loss to understand what they've accomplished. But this is a championship team. They prepared like champs on the field. They prepared like champs off the field. They did it the right way. They built a team culture that could sustain anything. And I just want them to understand how proud of them I am and how much I love them.
Is there anything that you in particular will take from this season?
Besides the relationships, besides some of the things that we've maybe done schematically, that's okay. You do that every year. I think this leadership council, this senior leadership council, and the underclassmen really worked hard as well. But this senior leadership council has given us so much, reinforcement around the trust that you can really build when you love each other, when you know each other inside and out, and you have an opportunity to work together, coaches and players, toward a common goal. And so they've always been a team that put their money where their mouth is, that followed through when they said they were going to do something. And that just builds such exceptional trust, not only with the teammates, but with the staff. And so I think that's something that we're going to carry forward in subsequent years. We have another great leadership council coming up this year. Very excited to work with them. Great human beings, great people, great football players. So I think that's what we'll carry forward most of all.
One of the things that really stuck by me that you said in your speech is, you're obviously trying to build, a good program and everything, but what you're also trying to do is build, leaders for the future. And them being in Needham football is great, but you want to maintain that. You want them to maintain the relationships with each other and be successful in life. And just talk about how important that is to you to be that kind of role model for them.
Sure. We've had seasons where you get 2 wins. You've had seasons like this last one where you break the school record for wins. Those things come and go. What are you going to do with your life? What type of person are you going to be? This is something that every single one of our coaches takes pride in. We have so many people from so many different walks of life, whether they're teachers or they're police officers or firefighters. We have so many great leaders on our staff, and I'm still learning from them. And so for our players to be able to learn from them and to also contribute to that culture of leadership, I'm so excited for each and every one of them in their future, because I know that they're going to be champions, not just on the field, but in college, in their jobs, in their families, as men in the world. And so I'm just very excited to see how they turn out down the road. I can't wait to see the impact they have on the communities they join.
Awesome, Coach. Anything else that you want to mention, that we haven't talked about from this season?
No, I just want to say thank you and go Rockets.